Okay, here we go. Right, so the plan is take the previous website that we built, so the last 30-minute video, turn the pages into self-feeding forms, turn the CRUD options into functions. Okay, so as you may or may not recall, this was the previous one where we could create new users. Yep. Okay. It tells us all about it. We get back to the read section. We notice our new student down here. We can update our students. Okay, so let's turn her into Rachel Summers. Okay, so that just tells us that's all done. And if we just jump into delete, because delete reads it all, we can now delete as needed. Okay. Okay, so let me jump into here. Don't want that line yet, so we'll just turn him off. Okay, and we'll just put in student records there, and we'll stick a HR there. Okay, so that way makes it look a little bit better. So, first thing, we're going to make a functions folder. Okay, works better if you rename it, and then accept the fact that you're renaming it, like so. And I'm going to throw in a functions PHP. Okay, so if I open that up, all I want in there is just PHP code. That's it, so nothing else. Now, the index page, don't really care too much about there, there's nothing there to modify. So let's go into the add one. Now, this we have on every single page. So let's tidy this up. So what we'll do is we'll turn this little function to start off with. So I'm going to copy that into here. I'm going to call it db link. Notice the capitalization on the second word. Curly brace, paste, curly brace. End of function. So don't forget to comment the end of the function. Okay? Now, this I can now use on this page in that spot right there, but it won't quite work because I've got to actually include it. So what I'll do is I'll do a require underscore once, okay, and inside my functions folder is my functions.php. Okay, so we'll save that, go back to the browser here, back to my index, I'll go to create. Okay, so I'll load it up, notice no issues. I will load in Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, submit. Excellent. That one basically tells us that it worked. If I take the read, there we go, Bruce Wayne. Excellent. Okay, well, if I jump over here to the database and check inside students itself, there we go. They're all coming in nice and easy. Excellent. Back to the code. So, what we want to do now is look at turning this into a self-feeding form. So, to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take this process PHP file, so everything from here, and we're going to put it all into this one. Now, to do that, we want to do a few bits and pieces. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to turn off error reporting. Okay. Now there is a reason for that. It's because when I submit, when I load this page the first time, I'm going to have these items being looked at. Okay. Like that. Now, if that's not there, this error reporting, I'm going to get an error every time it loads because there's nothing posted to it, so it's going to complain. So we'll just have that there. Now, I need to now put in the if statement, which comes in about here. So now we jump into PHP. So I'm doing an if. Okay, so if to there, else there. That's the end if. Now, in this section here, the exclamation mark before is set means that if the submit button doesn't have anything or doesn't exist, then what I want you to do is I want you to do the following. So I'll make an echo and we'll move the form into it. Like so. And we'll tab him out to make it a bit more readable. Now notice, submit here, but this is capital submit with a number 1. We've got to tidy that up. So we go submit and S. Okay? Now, this part is what happens if the submit does occur. So what we do is we jump over to here. I'll steal this bit, paste it into here. Okay, so we're just testing this really simply to start off with. First we just make sure the form gets filled out, the data comes back to this page, and then we can print out the name. So let's load up our page, let's go to index, we go to create. Okay, so we've already got a mistake on line 40, not a problem. What do I do? Ah, very obvious mistake. Forgot to close off PHP. Now let's try it again. Let's go back one, create. Okay, so here's our form, this is good. Let's see if we can get Clark Kent into the system, or at least showing up. Hit submit, feeds unto itself. Oh, that went to the index page. Why did it go to the index page? Because I didn't change that. Okay, I knew there was something I'd forget. The form, the action is no longer processed. It's actually posting to the server PHP self. That's the bit that forces it to go to itself. Okay, so now we've got that code in there. Let's try it again. Well, seeing as how I've just put Clark Kent in, let's try for Charles Xavier. There we go. So the name comes up. Notice we're still on the same page. That's good. That's what we want. We go back to the code. I now come back here. I grab my insert capability. Okay, so I paste that here. And what we'll do is we'll put in an if statement. We'll go if $result. Okay, so what that means is if the action is successful, result will equal 1, otherwise result will equal 0. 1 equals true, 0 equals false. Okay, so if result, so if true, then what we'll say is we'll echo out let's go student added, else echo. Notice it doesn't matter if you use the brackets or you don't do it. Student failed to add. Now what I will do is I'm going to turn this part here into a small function. So I'm going to Control X that out, and I'll go function, what will we call it? Let's call it index link. Index link. I'm not passing anything into it. End of function. Bang. That will be an echo. That's all I want it to do. So that means if I take this part, I'll save that, jump back to here, paste that there with a semicolon, and then we will also, just above that, paste that there with a semicolon. Alright. Okay, so let's save that. Run the page, so we create. Okay, good, my link still exists. Where did we go? Oh, we went Charles Xavier. Now hit the submit button. Oops, I can get rid of the second one. Charles Xavier student added. Okay, that's good. So if I jump back to the database, hit the show button, I should see Charles Xavier is added. Excellent. So the form is feeding itself, and I can get rid of that one. Now the reason why I don't need that there is because this actually shows before the if does, so it's always going to turn up. Now that's all good, but what I can do is I can actually pull this out into a function. So I'll cut that, and I'll make a new function. I go function add student, and a function, and I'll paste. Oh, now let's have a look. That needs fname and lname, so we'll put that in here. Fname, comma, $lname. Right, so now I'm feeding in two parameters. So when I run this function, I've got to make sure I have two parameters, and I want to return $result. Okay, so that way I know if it works. So we'll copy that, save that, jump back to here, put that in there. Now remember, because I need something to return, I need to put it into something. So I'm going to say $result is assigned add student fname lname. So I'll save that, jump in here, we'll go create again. Who will we pick on this time? Let's do Bobby Drake. B-O-B-B-Y-G-R-A-K-E, Bobby Drake. I hit the submit button. Bobby Drake, student added. Excellent. So if I jump back to my read, there we go. Awesome. So this form here does the exact same as add and process. So now I can get down to here. I'll close that form off, and I can delete it. Actually, we'll just put it in a folder for the moment. New folder, and I'll call it delete. And we can take that and drop him into here because we don't need him anymore. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So that's a self-feeding add function. Excellent. So let's have a look. What's next on our list? Read. That's a good choice. So let's open up the read. So from here we can take this stuff and replace that. Okay, so that's going to make it always access the database. Okay, so from here we can get rid of these two lines of code because we know that this one line of code does the exact same job here. Now let's see, from here to here, that looks like a function to me, so I'll pull that out, jump in a function, I go function list students, no parameters, let's open curly brace, close curly brace, and a function, let's paste it in. Okay, grab all that, tab it out one to make it nice and easy. Right, so if I run list students, it should access the database and pull it all out for me. So let's take that, so I copy it, save that file, go into my read, paste, do that, add a comment, and go list all students at the end of it so you know what it does. Supplies, link to index page, without that symbol, there we go. Okay, save. So now if I click the read button, there we go, lists everyone for me. So this is why functions are much easier, because now if you look at this code, you can tell it just does nice and easy stuff. Okay, so let's have another look. What's next? Update. That was a big one. What we will do, let's have a quick look at delete. let's work on delete first. Delete will be a bit easier, so let's go to delete here. Same type of deal up the top. Let's take this stuff, replace all those lines. Okay, probably be advisable to put in links to database comment. Now what do we do here? We list all the students, except we add this link to it, don't we? Okay, so let's just do it as another function by itself. So let's pull that out, go into functions, go functions, delete student, open curly brace, close curly brace, end of function. Let's paste it and tab it. Okay, so what's that doing? That's taking us to a folder, del.php. Cool, okay, so we'll just save that for the moment, grab delete student here, paste that there, delete student, and we've got to have our index link in there as well. Let's have a quick look. Oh, so if we're doing that, we can get rid of that bit of code. Save, run it up, delete. Let's get rid of Bobby Drake. Okay, so now if we check the delete again, Bobby Drake should be missing. Yep, awesome. But we know that when you look at the function, it still gets fed into del.php. So let's have a look at del. Okay, so this in itself feeds that into there. Right, let me think for a sec. We should be able to turn that into a function itself. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this a self-feeding form, which means we've got to make a few modifications. First modification will be actually modifying our new function delete student. Okay, so we'll go into functions, come down here. Notice how here we're feeding into del this UID. So what we want to do is we'll feed it into delete. Okay, so now it's going to feed unto itself. So I'll save that. We'll go back to delete. This is our link which we want to keep. But what we can do now is I can look for a get of del. Oh no, it wasn't del, it was UID, wasn't it? UID. Okay, so remember, a get actually puts it in the address line. Okay, and we're looking for this thing here, UID. Right, so let's see, if bracket $sign UID does not equal null, in other words it actually exists, then we'll test it this way. We'll go echo found it. Alright, I'm just testing it. Else delete student. Okay, so remember this thing here lists our student with all the links, and then what we'll do is if this bit works the way I think it works, then we can put this code right there. Okay? Well, we can turn it into a function and use it, but let's test it to start off with. So let's go into delete. Good. First off, no mistakes. Let's hit Charles Xavier. Okay, found it. Okay, UID equals 8. Perfect. So we go back to index, jump back to here. Now let's turn this into a function. So I want that. Back to the functions. And we go function delete specific. I'm going to feed in the UID. Okay. And a function here. We'll paste that there. Okay. So when we run this function, the UID comes in here and it will delete the exact student from here. Awesome. So let's take that. Save that. Go back to delete. And put that in there. we go deletes student, and this isn't really delete anymore, is it? It's a listing of students with the delete link. Okay, so let's save that. Let's see if any errors. Obviously not. Okay, let's get rid of Fred Durf. Delete. Okay, let's go back to delete, and Fred Durf is gone. Excellent, but I didn't actually say anything about it. So, to make this happen, put this section here in a curly braces, so that means I can have more than just one line of code, and then we'll go echo student successfully removed. We'll save that. Back over to here, go to index, delete, and we'll take out Charles Xavier. Student successfully removed. Do a quick check on the read. Excellent. Okay, so he's gone too. Okay, so far so good. Which means this page is no longer needed. So we'll go put him in the delete file. Okay, so that's 3 of our 4 CRUD functions. Next is the update. This is the big one.